welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Kayla. Hi. I am a early years childminder and a mum to a toddler who's nearly 2.5. I only look after toddlers, so my play space and the things I talk about primarily are centered around kind of toddler age. So I've been childminding for nearly 2 years, kind of decided to go into it after my daughter was born. We've also same kind of time length in regards to our Montessori journey. I started learning about Montessori after she was born, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It showed me kind of an alternative route for parenting, also a kind of direction, and it kind of really resonated with how I wanted to be as a parent. So I started that journey 2 years ago. I've been learning so much about child development and parenting and Montessori, and now Waldorf as well, Steiner. I've been reading loads and listening to podcasts and reading books and all sorts of things. So yeah, pretty much after I had my daughter became my passion really, and I love it. I love all things play. I love the child-led approach. I love outdoors and nature and natural materials. We're real kind of eco-focused in our house, so I love recycling things, reusing and limiting waste, that kind of thing. So that's pretty much what we're all about. So yeah, I hope you enjoy my videos. Thanks for watching. So my playroom videos have been quite popular because my playroom is always evolving and changing to take into account new interests with the children and new things that I learn about different approaches. The setting and design and layout is always changing to accommodate that. So I'm doing another playroom video, which I hope you don't think, oh my god, another one, like give it up already. But the playroom has changed quite a bit from my last video, so I'm hoping you'll find it quite interesting. As I said, I started with the Montessori approach, and I still incorporate that in our kind of the way that we are as a family. So lots of practical life kind of work, building independence, and a respectful kind of approach to how I interact with my toddler. But I also really love Steiner and Waldorf as well. I love the kind of emphasis on imaginative play, creativity, lots of art and lots of kind of open-ended loose parts resources. So the playroom is kind of a bit of a mix really. So I'll show you around and give you some ideas on kind of play materials or what a playroom looks like for a kind of 2 to 2.5 year old. So I'm by no means a kind of expert. I'm learning all the time. And as a mum, I come across new challenges all the time as well. If you're a mum watching, you'll feel probably the same as me in that you feel like it goes up and down. So sometimes you feel really competent, like you know what you're doing, and your child's happy, you're happy, everything's going well, and then something changes, whether it's a milestone they're hitting or a new kind of growth spur or some change in their environment that's kind of thrown them off a little bit, or maybe it's maybe you haven't been taking care of yourself properly, or I haven't been taking care of myself properly, and I kind of notice a change in how I feel and how my response is and things like that. So it goes really up and down. So I'm not an expert at all, but I just want to share with you things that I've learned. As I said, child development's my passion, so I read so much about it and I want to share that knowledge with you. And because I'm a childminder, my days are completely centered around looking after toddlers and learning, observing, playing with them and providing, a really good environment. So that's what I like to share. So I'll start over here. This is our kind of like main play shelf. And it tends to get a little bit rotated, not hugely, because a lot of the things they are open-ended and they can play with in many different ways. But yeah, I'll show you this shelf here, which I did just kind of put in. This is kind of like the number shelf. No, it isn't. Sorry. The letter shelf. Sorry, I'm not with it today. I've just started to kind of introduce letters to them. Children are coming up to 2.5. And the first letter that I'm introducing is the letter M. It's the first letter in my daughter's name, so she's kind of familiar with the letter, and she's seen it in her bedroom printed, and so she kind of knows what it is. So I thought that would be a kind of useful one to start with. So what I've done is I've just got a bit of card and I've put the letter M on there, and then I've done a smaller version on the back. And then in the basket is items with the letter M. So we've got a mushroom, a monkey, man, and a mirror. And there is also a magnet as well, but I don't know where that is. That's obviously gone walkies. And then over here is a alphabet puzzle. We've had this for a while, so they've been using this and they've really shown an interest in letters. So this is where this kind of idea has come about. So yeah, they've been using this for a while. This is really good for sensory because you've got visual, you've got touch, and they can try and fit them in the right place. And then next to them is a picture corresponding with the letter that it's for. So yeah, this is really good for fine motor as well. So yeah, that's used loads. This is kind of our letter work, if you want to call it that. We don't do anything particular with it because they're too young for that. You know, they want to be playing, they want to be choosing their own ways of learning, but this is just a little introduction that they can explore and play with, you know, as they want to. They can ask questions if they want to, but there's no kind of structure around it. It's very kind of child-led in the way that it's set out. Down here we've got construction materials. So we've got our basket of blocks, and then we've got our magnetic tiles, which are used all the time. These are good for 3D structures. They can build houses and towers and rockets and all sorts of things with those. We've got a big basket of animals, which they absolutely love. We're always adding animals as well, because they'll come to me and they'll say, oh, we don't have a hippo. So then I'll have to go and get a hippo. Or they'll be missing one. They'll in like a book or something, they'll be like, oh, we haven't got this. So we're always adding them. So it's a bit overflowing at the moment, but it's really well played with. Over here we've got some recyclables, so egg cartons, which are used for painting and cutting and filling and sorting, and they use them for, we've got some little boxes here, which they use for parking, garage, you know, with a little car. They use them for putting animals in, making little habitats, all sorts of things really. Over here we've got some books. We've got some rhyming books, a feelings book, so we've just started talking about feelings, and then these are really good books from Eric Carle, who did the Hungry Caterpillar, which we've also got there. These are really easy and short, but the illustrations are kind of cute, and they tell you quite a lot of detail about particular animals, so they're really informative. And then we've got the Hungry Caterpillar book here, and then I made these story props. I always think it's really nice to have story props. I try and have this kind of setup for one particular book in the playroom. Yeah, it's been here for a couple of months. They haven't used it a lot, but then this weekend it was used loads. So sometimes things just need to sit there, and then before you kind of change it for them to show an interest. So for example, the book has got all the food that the caterpillar's eaten, so we have these props to go along with the particular food, and then they'll line them up, put them in order. They can learn the names of all the different foods. So yeah, that's a really good kind of learning opportunity, and it's something they can do on their own. They don't need any assistance. It's very easy for them to figure out, you know, how to play with it and what they want to do. So up here we've got a little small world play. We've got a little wooden airplane, and these trees we made from toilet roll holder things. We've got this little house here, which is super cute. It's got little windows, and we recently went to the zoo and got these tiny animals, so I thought this would be a nice way for them to be used. And this is just a little hamster house, which cost me like £3 on Amazon. but it's great for like this kind of tiny setup. Little wooden slices which they can use for like stepping stones or little seats or whatever they want to do with them. We've got a pine cone which we found outside, rock, and then these are felt pebbles which I got from Carla's Treasure, and they're stackable as well, but they're super soft, so they're really good for babies as well. And over here we've got our large rainbow, Grimm's rainbow, and then the smaller one, and then the little pegs to go with it as well. So yeah, that's our kind of main play shelf. And then over here I've got a weather wheel which I made from an old puzzle, and I painted this on there, and then the wood is actually just free wood that I got from the DIY place. It was like a donation thing, so you put like £1 in and then you can choose some little offcuts of wood. So I try and make things as much as I can to try and save money, and kind of like get a bit creative, I suppose. Oh, there's that magnet. So also this is a Grimm's celebration ring. To use the celebration ring as kind of a seasonal ring. So we've got some daffodils here which are growing at the moment because we're coming into spring. And then I'll be with you in just a minute, Mimi, okay? Here's your magnet. Go. So yeah, I'm going to make some little kind of representations of spring and all the seasons, whatever season we're in, and kind of place them around here. So things that we see when we're out. So at the moment when we're in nature, we're noticing there's a lot of like snowdrops out there, and we're coming into kind of Easter time, so we're having hot cross buns, and there's going to be Easter eggs. So there's the little things that I can make to kind of represent the bear with me a sec, honey, to represent that kind of season. So I really like that. Then over here we've got another little shelf. We've got our ways to play track up here for the cars. We've got a little telephone, and then train set with all of our little cars in there. And then we've got musical instruments at the bottom. And then over here we've got our Flissat table. We don't usually have a lot of puzzles, but they're really liking them at the moment. We've been to a couple of play groups where they've had puzzles, and they keep asking for me to get them out. So I brought them back out after putting them away for a few months. And over here we've got a few photos. I'm hoping to do like a photo basket with little photo frames of family members. They love looking at photos. It's a really good way to build their memory and talk about things that they might have done with their family members as well. Over here I started an art trolley a few months ago, so they could have access to all their kind of arty, creative materials. They used to ask me for things like if they wanted to paint or draw, then they would ask me and I'd get out of the cupboard, because I thought they were a little bit young to have access to paints and stuff. But to be honest, I think you could do this from any age. Obviously you could limit what you're going to put in there if they're a bit younger, for like safety and stuff. But I'm really glad I did this, because they're so independent now. They'll just go and grab their apron, their paintbrush, the paints and paper, and they'll just get started, and they don't need any kind of interference from me. So at the bottom we've got the paint stuff with the brushes and the trays, and there's some rolling pins for like Play-Doh. We've got some crayons here, some stampers, and then some loose bits that they can use for sticking. We've got glue, and then glue spreaders, these paint pens which are really awesome because they're pretty mess free, to be honest, and they're really chunky, so they're good for toddlers to grab onto. And we've got some more crayons here, scissors, pencils, some paper for cutting or drawing, and then I've got some clipboards here at the back which they can grab, and some paper as well. Yeah, this is used all the time. I love seeing the things that they come up with, and I love them to be just independent so that they can just get on with kind of nurturing their creativity. I love that. So I would definitely recommend a trolley or a shelving unit or something where they can just access their own art materials. Yeah, you can play with those. So over here we've got another play shelf. This is more kind of the Waldorf side, where there's lots of loose parts, lots of opportunity for creativity, and lots of kind of open-ended options. So everything's in baskets. We've got lots of different coloured pieces that they can build and play with and kind of make patterns, designs, whatever they want to do with them. We've got some wrap-up pieces here. These ones just came from Amazon. They're really good quality though. Really good company that I found on Amazon. We've got some kind of rings here. These are actually curtain rings, which I had a little metal piece in there and I pulled them out because it was a kind of cheaper way of doing it. So I really do try and save money where I can. Whereas some things I think it's good to invest in. Like I've got these wooden blocks which they absolutely love. We had these ones for a while which have little balls in them, but then I bought these ones because they just enjoyed playing with them so much. These are good for shape recognition, colour recognition, building, all sorts of things, but they love those, and they're all really beautiful and really well made. These are again from Amazon as well. And then we've got some wrap-up pieces here. We've got these mandala pieces, little semicircles were from Amazon as well. So lots and lots of open-ended options here. And these are coconut bowls, which I also got from Amazon, which I absolutely love because they're all, being a natural product, they're all completely unique. So some of them are darker than others and they're all different shapes, but I love displaying them like this because I just think they're really beautiful. So up here we've got some pegs here, which I actually made. I didn't make them, I actually painted them, but they came natural coloured like this, really cheap from Amazon, I think like £3 or something. And then I painted them with non-toxic paint, so they can use them for matching. So each one has its own peg. So like this spotty one goes with this spotty one, for example, and they're all different. I just thought it's a really nice idea. Got a rainbow one there. They can use them in play as well. They can use them for imaginative play, all sorts of things. And then over here we've got a bit of kind of number work because they're really into counting. So I invested in these number blocks from the little coach house. So they were kind of expensive, but they're really beautifully made, and they come with this holder which I really like because they display beautifully on the shelf. So they use these for counting. So we've got these little glass pebbles, they can use them to count, or they can use any of these loose parts for that.
I'm hungry.
You're hungry? Okay, we'll get you some food in just a minute. Yeah, so I really love those.
Sorry.
You want some sorry? Okay, we'll go and see if we got some. Let Mummy just finish. Yeah, so they're really into counting, but you could actually make these. I think you could do those with, you could just paint the numbers on some cardboard or whatever really. But yeah, if you want to invest in those, then those are really good quality ones. We've got some giant buttons here which they use for counting, but you can use those for threading as well, because the holes are nice and big. Yeah, I'm coming, just a moment, Mimi. And then down here, what Mia was just playing with are these little bird pegs, which are still on the shelf. We've actually had those since Christmas. Yes, you can have. Yes, we've had those for quite a while. I did like a matching activity with them, with these cards I made. Oh, sorry. And yeah, but they still play with them all the time. So they've been there since Christmas, and they'll probably stay for quite a while. And then on top, just some dinosaurs, a little plant, and a little tea set. So that's the playroom tour as it is at the moment. Hi. Yeah, so I hope that is helpful. I always love doing playroom tours because playroom is like my favourite room in the house. I know that sounds probably really like, oh, but yeah, I just love it. I love setting it all out and seeing them get stuck in and watching how they play and what they play with. I find it really interesting. So yeah, I hope you like my playroom. It's always evolving, so I'm sure I'll do another video in the future. But yeah, that's it for now. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and have a great day.